Then those types of fluids are discussed or classified into extracellular fluid, intracellular fluid, interstitial fluid, and vascular fluid. Then we have discussed that what will be the percentage of individual fluid or individual type of fluid in our body. Then we have discussed that what is the meaning of the word electrolytes, how they are going to maintain and helps in our body to do their functions. Now we are moving towards the replacement therapy. If body unable to maintain the fluid and electrolyte balance in our body, then that time the conditions will come like hypovolemia, then dehydration, then edema. That type of situations may occur if body unable to maintain the balance of those fluids and electrolytes in our body. So we are moving towards a type of therapy to maintain the normal environment and normal atmosphere throughout of the cell of our body. Then this type of therapy is known as replacement therapy. So under normal physiological conditions, the body mechanism is able to adjust all this balance of electrolyte and fluid wall balance in our body. But in various conditions such as prolonged fever, severe vomiting, diarrhea, there occurs a heavy loss of fluid and electrolyte from our body. So in order to compensate the normal environment of our all those physiological fluids and electrolytes in our body, we are going to administer some of the products, and those products are used in the case of replacement therapy if body itself unable to correct the situation of that severe fever, edema, and hypovolemia. That time we are going for the type of treatment that is replacement therapy. Now what will be the products we are going to cover under this treatment are electrolytes, acids and bases we are going to use, some of the blood products like plasma, serum. Then we are going to use some of the packed cell volumes for the treatment of these replacement therapy. Then we are going to induce, or we can use carbohydrate, that is glucose saline, then amino acids and proteins are used for the use of replacement therapy. Now types of electrolytes we are going to use in the case of replacement therapy, that will contain mineral salts, will contain an inorganic compound. These are necessary within the body for all the body processes. So we know electrolytes are generally inorganic compounds, and they are used and necessary within the body to do the normal atmosphere, normal environmental reactions, or normal metabolic reactions of our body, and they are usually required in the small quantities. So the main elements which are used or which are there in our body who are doing their normal function, that are calcium and phosphorus. Now, we know calcium and phosphorus are required in the traces amount, and their presence is in the bone and in our teeth. So they individually perform their own functions of bone and teeth. Now, the presence of iron in the hemoglobin. Now, we know hemoglobin is one of the important parameter and important constituent of our blood, blood is main connective tissue which is fluid in nature, will provide all the nutrient and electrolytes throughout our body. It is continuously rotating, it is continuously circulated throughout our body to provide the oxygen to every cell of our body, so which will convey the oxygen and carbon dioxide. Now the sodium and potassium transmission of nerve impulses is also done by the hemoglobin and contraction of the muscles. Now these are the several uses and functions of all those elements or electrolytes in our body. Now some of their listed functions of those electrolytes are: they are going to control the osmosis of water between body compartments. So they are going to maintain the fluid balance, they are going to maintain the water osmosis in some of the body compartments like kidney, like liver, like lungs. So they are going to maintain the osmotic pressure with the uh, all these body organs, then maintain the acid base balance required for the normal cellular activities. Now there are cells, there are organs whose function is totally depending upon the pH of that organ. See, for example, stomach will maintain its pH up to acidic level, that is 1 to 2. So that pH of stomach is required to metabolize, to digest several food materials what we are going to eat for our normal activities. Now the pH of blood, it is approximately between 7.3 to 7.4. So it is neutral in pH generally to ensure the transport of all those nutrients throughout our body. So this is maintenance of acid base balance will be done by those electrolytes. This is one of the function of the electrolyte. Then electrolytes also help to generate action potential and graded potential. Now what is the meaning of the word action potential? Now this image which is there on your slide, you have seen this image in several movies, they are going to show this ECG diagram. So this is actually an ECG graph of a person. So to generate these action potential, that is percentage of potassium ion will go outside and percentage of sodium ion will come inside. Now this sodium and potassium continuously uh, input and output will take place when the cell is going to contract and relax. For example, heart muscles. So the contraction and relaxation of these heart muscles will generate the action potential, and this action potential will be given by the input and output, or inward entry and outward entry of the sodium and potassium ions in the heart cells. So this is one of the function of these electrolytes, that is sodium and potassium, to generate the action potential. Then they are also help to control the secretion of some of the hormones. So these electrolyte will control the secretion of some of the hormones like aldosterone, thyroid hormones. Now these electrolyte will control these secretion and amount of secretion of those hormones in our body. For example, neurotransmitters. Now neurotransmitters perform the function of carrying out the messages and impulses in the nervous system. So this carrying out the nerve impulse, secretion of the hormones, these are totally depending upon the balance of an electrolyte balance of our body. So these are some of the enlisted functions of our electrolytes. Now, what will be the major physiological ions produced, or they are there in our body? They are sodium, chlorine, potassium, calcium, magnesium, phosphate, and bicarbonate. And these are their ionic species. In bracket, they have shown that these are the ionic species, or they are present in these ionic species to perform the functions of physiological ions in our body. Now, what will be the electrolytes we are going to use in the replacement therapy? Now, in a healthy person, suppose if a healthy person, we are going to consider of weight of 70 kilograms or 70 kg is the weight of that normal person, at least approximately 70 liters of the fluid are exchanged and secretion and reabsorbed in intestine of that person per day. Suppose if any healthy person having a weight of 70 kilograms, this person is continuously reabsorbing, exchanging secretion of the fluid in minimum amount. 70 liters of the fluid is exchanged only in the intestinal area of that person. Now the brain, heart, kidney, and virtually every other vital organ depending upon these fluids to do their normal and vital functions of our body. So every organ of our body is totally depending upon the fluid balance, ionic balance, which is there in our body. So as the body take in the water and salt is need, it loses or excrete those it does not need through the urine. Suppose body is going to have some of the excess salts, some of the excess nutrients, some of the excess waste product. So these are all excreted out throughout the urine, stools, and with the help of sweat. So thus the secretion and absorption rate are always keep in balance, or there is a balance between the absorption and secretion of all those ions to maintain the physiological balance. So in various conditions like prolonged fever, vomiting, diarrhea, and tremendous outpouring of the water, heavy loss of water and electrolytes, in vomiting, diarrhea, a state of dehydration will occur. So a person will have, so that person will be, that person will suffer from a state of dehydration as the water loss in so many reasons, that is prolonged fever, vomiting, diarrhea. So that person will go in a state of dehydration and impairs the capacity to reabsorb the fluid and electrolytes in our system. So to compensate this loss of electrolyte replacement therapy and oral rehydration therapy is required. So to compensate this dehydration situation, we are going to treat that person with the help of either electrolyte replacement therapy, and it is also known as oral rehydration therapy. So for that, we are going to prescribe the person with a ORS solution. So according to Dr. Perla Santos, replace what is lost. So this, according to this rule, whatever we are going to lose, we have to replace it with somebody else, some another element, some another ions. So for the replacement therapy, we are going to use two types of solutions. So according to replace those all physiological ions, we are going to use two types of solutions in the case of replacement therapy. Now the type number one will be a solution for a rapid and initial treatment. Suppose that person has a prolonged fever, he is suffering from severe dehydration, he is suffering from hypovolemia situation. So we have to prescribe that person, we have to treat that patient with a solution of rapid and initial treatment. Rapidly emergency situation, we have to give this treatment to that person, having a combination of these physiological ions, that are sodium, chlorine, potassium, bicarbonate, calcium, and magnesium. With respective calculation, sodium, with respect to concentration range, sodium 130 to 150 milliequivalent per liter, chlorine 98 to 110 milliequivalent per liter, potassium 4 to 12 milliequivalent per liter, bicarbonate 28 to 55 milliequivalent per liter, calcium 3 to 5 milliequivalent per liter, and lastly magnesium 3 milliequivalent per liter. So in this all concentrations, the physiological ions are given for the first line treatment, that is a solution for rapid and initial treatment. Now these electrolyte concentration thus closely resemble with the electrolyte concentration found in extracellular fluid. Why we have chosen this concentration? Because this concentration is compatible, it, it is matched with the it is matched with the concentration of extracellular fluid which is there in our body. Now, followed by this step number one, a solution with the rapid initial treatment. Then, with the help of this, uh, approximately a 200 ml of water will contain sodium 75, potassium 20 milliequivalent, dextrose 75 milliequivalent, then citrate 10, and chlorine 65. So the osmolarity given by the 200 ml of this solution will be 245. Now, a second solution which we are going to use for the treatment of replacement therapy is a solution for subsequent replacement. First solution we are giving in the emergency situation to do the initial dose of that person with that many concentration, and if we are going to use or if we are going to give the this oral rehydration treatment to uh, for prolonged period of time for prophylaxis type of doses, then we are going to give the a solution for subsequent replacement. Frequently, if we are going to replace the situations of rehydration, then we are going to use this is the concentration of solution when we are going to use for the subsequent replacement. So sodium 40 to 120 milliequivalent, chlorine 30 to 105 milliequivalent, potassium 16 to 35, bicarbonate 16 to 53 milliequivalent, calcium 10 to 15 milliequivalent, magnesium 3 to 6, and phosphorus 0 to 30 milliequivalent we are going to use for a solution of subsequent replacement. So these many two different concentrations of milliequivalent physiological ions are there for two different line treatment. First line treatment will be a solution for the rapid initial replacement, and second line will be for the a solution for subsequent replacement. So both these type of treatments are required to treat the severe emergency situation like hypovolemia, burn situation, then accidental situation. So we are going to give the loss of those ions will be replaced by the replacement therapy by these many physiological ions. Now, one of the foremost important of the electrolyte use and function is to maintain the physiological acid-base balance of our body. Now, those electrolytes, nutrient material will maintain the physiological balance and physiological acid-base balance of our body. Now, as electrolyte play an important role in the regulating body's acid-base balance. So we know electrolytes are going to perform the function of regulation of acid-base balance. Body fluids contain balanced quantities of acids and bases. So the acidity of the solution, number of H plus ions present in the fluid and a solution, that is extracellular fluid, uh, that is source which of H plus. So the number of hydrogen ions present in the solution may be regarded as a measure of acidity. So whatever solution we are going to use for the treatment of acid-base balance, if that solution will possess a presence of H plus ion, so the number of those H plus ion, those hydrogen ions present in the solution may be regarded as a measure of acidity of that system. But the pH of a solution generally have the definition negative logarithm to the base 10 of hydrogen ion concentration. So the presence of this H plus ion will give the acidity to that organ. Thus, the pH may be considered to be a measure of acidity of the solution. So whatever amount of H plus ion concentration in the system is there, it will be the measure of pH of the system. Now, body fluid have balanced quantities of acids and bases. Several body fluids have a balanced quantities of all acids and bases, and these quantities are well regulated by the all mechanisms. So the mechanisms involved in the maintenance of body fluid balance, they are the maintenance of normal range within the body has been essential because biochemical reactions which are taken place they are totally depending upon the acidic and basic environment of our body. Already I have discussed with you all the stomach pH. If it is not there in the acidic environment, it will affect the physiological acid base balance of the body. Now, acidity of the solution will be depending upon the presence of concentration of H plus ion in that system. So, cellular metabolism of glucose, fatty acids, and amino acids, etc., will be involved in the release of H plus ions in our body. Now, biochemical reactions, which will harmful, which will result, which will involved in the maintenance of acid-base balance. So biochemical reactions very sensitive to the change in the pH, that is acidity and alkalinity. For example, enzyme pepsin in the stomach, already I have discussed this enzyme. This enzyme pepsin in the stomach help in the digestion of dietary proteins at low pH. So the enzyme ptyalin in saliva help in digestion of carbohydrate at pH between 5.4 to 7.5. So these are the several body fluids and their pH values. Now we know the pH of the pepsin and stomach is 1 to 2 to digest several food material. pH of ptyalin, which is there in the saliva, will digest a carbohydrate, will be between the pH 5.4 to 7.5. So these are the pH range of some of the physiological ions or some of the uh, physiological products. Those are urine, blood, gastrointestinal juice, saliva, and bile. So the kidney removes excess of acid so that urine will be acidic. So there is involvement of kidney as an organ also to maintain the physiological balance of our body. As kidneys are involved in the removing of excess of acid from the body. Urine can be quite acidic when he is going to remove the acidity or when he is going to remove the excess of acids from the body, that time urine will be acidic. The range of pH of blood compatible with the life is 7 to 7.8, and the metabolic activity of the body cell gives rise to certain acids and alkalis which are able to alter the blood pH. So to overcome or to maintain the physiological acid base balance, body is going to use a system to which will resist the change in the pH value of that system, and that system is known as buffer system. Now acids and bases are continuously taken into and formed by the body. So the pH of the fluid inside and outside the cell remain constant. So due to this buffer system in our body, the pH inside the cell and outside the cell remain constant because of the presence of buffer system. Now what is the constituent and composition of this buffer system? Buffer system will consist of, already we have discussed that types of buffer. They are consisting of weak acid and the salt of weak acids. Now, to convert strong acid or bases into weak acids or bases and to prevent drastic change in the pH of the blood. So these many functions are there with the buffer system are consist of weak acid and the salt of acid, converting strong acid and bases into weak acids and weak bases, and prevent drastic change of pH of our body. So generally, however, it will be effective only if excess acid and alkali secreted out by the lung and the kidney. So the generation, however, it will be effective only if excess of acid and alkali excreted out by the lung and the kidney. So with the help of these organs, with the help of this system, the body pH and ionic balance will be maintained by of our body. So types of buffer system which are involved actually are carbonic acid and bicarbonic buffer system, phosphate buffer system, and protein buffer system. So there are basically three important buffer system are there to maintain the physiological acid base balance of our body. Now, what is the meaning of the word buffer system? It may consist of Buffer system may consist of weak acid and its salt. Already I have discussed the buffer system may consist of weak acid and the salt of that weak acid, which function as a weak base. Buffer system of the body does not allow rapid and drastic change in the pH value of our body by converting strong acid and bases into weak acids and weak bases. So buffer systems are thus able to remarkably uh, removes the excess of H plus ions from the body fluid, but not only from the body. The major buffer systems existing in the body fluids are as follow. So what are the major buffer systems of our body? Carbonic acid, bicarbonate buffer system, redox phosphate buffer system, phosphate buffer system, and protein buffer system. So these three are the buffer systems involved in our body. Those are carbonic acid, bicarbonate, phosphate buffer, and protein buffer. Now, what is the individual buffer systems of our body? Carbonic acid, bicarbonate buffer system. Now, major buffer of metabolic acid base present in the plasma and kidney. This is main buffer system which will maintain the pH and acid base balance of our body. If there is tremendously increasing in the acidic environment of any cell, it will result into metabolic acidosis. And if there is decreased concentration of H plus ions in any cell, it will result into metabolic alkalosis. So to avoid the situation metabolic acidosis and metabolic alkalosis, our body will go for the buffer system, and those are carbonic acid bicarbonate buffer system, which it is a major buffer of the metabolic acid base balance in the plasma and kidney, and it will regulate the blood of the pH. Now, some carbon dioxide, the end product of our cellular respiration, is carried to the lung for elimination. Now, we know our body is going to do some metabolic reactions that are Krebs cycle, glycolysis, electron transport system. So, at the time of these cellular metabolism reaction, carbon dioxide is produced, and this carbon dioxide is carried to the lung for the elimination through expiration procedure of our body, and the rest is dissolved in the body fluid. Now, forming carbonic acid which will dissociate to produce bicarbonate ions and hydronium ions. So when this carbon dioxide, as it is not normally excreted out of our body, it will combine with a water molecule. So there is formation of carbonic acid, H2CO3. If the excess amount of carbon dioxide is increased in that system. But if it is not the case, then that carbonic acid again dissociated into hydronium ion and bicarbonate ion. So three types of buffers are there: carbonic acid bicarbonate, phosphate buffer system, and proper protein buffer system. From that, we are up to the carbonic acid buffer system, that is excess amount of, if carbon dioxide is not excreted out or it is not expelled out of our respiratory system, so it will combine with the water molecule, and there is formation of carbonic acid. Now this carbonic acid, when again it is dissolved or it is react with the water molecule, so there is formation of again bicarbonate ions. So this use of carbon dioxide to form bicarbonate ions, this particular reaction will be used and particularly involved in maintenance of acid-base balance. So the lung and kidney plays an important role in regulating blood pH. The lung regulate pH through retention or elimination of carbon dioxide by changing the rate and the volume of ventilation. So the lung is continuously expelling out gases, that is carbon dioxide, to change the rate and volume of ventilation. And kidney regulate pH by excreting acids primarily in the form of ions, that are ammonium ions, by reclaiming again bicarbonate ions from the glomerular filtration of the kidney and adding it back to the blood. So we know the glomerular filtration and the nephron of the kidney involved in the continuous absorption and reabsorption of several physiological ions through their loop of Henle through the nephron. So the excretion and reabsorption of these physiological ions from the nephron or from the glomerular filtration is involved in the maintenance of acid-base balance. Now our second buffer system is phosphate buffer system. This is also able to maintain the physiological pH at 7.4. As the phosphate concentration is highest in the intracellular fluid, the phosphate buffer system is considered to be an important regulator of pH in the cytosol. So he is going to regulate the pH in the cell, cytosol. This system occurs in the cell and the kidney. The system consists of monohydrogen phosphate, monohydrogen phosphate, and dihydrogen phosphate. Monohydrogen phosphate, HPO4, H2PO4, dihydrogen phosphate. So they are going to involve both monohydrogen phosphate and dihydrogen phosphate. It is known to act in the same manner as like that of carbonic acid. So in the same way as like that of carbonic acid, whenever there is a requirement of to decrease the pH, carbonic acid is formed, carbon dioxide plus water. Whenever there is increasing in the pH, carbonic acid is dissociated into H plus ions and carbonic acid ions, bicarbonate ions. Similarly, here monohydrogen and dihydrogen phosphates are actually involved. So on the basis of neutralized by the dihydrogen phosphate, depending upon the requirement, they are formed in our body. Now, third and very important buffer system is protein buffer system. Now, we know the proteins are made up of bond between the peptide linkage between the amino acids. So this protein buffer system, it is considered to be an most abundant, the most useful buffer system of our body. Proteins are composed of amino acids. We know they are made up of amino acids, and they are having at least one carboxyl group and one carboxyl group and one amino terminal group. Now we know every amino acid has one carboxylic acid terminal in and one amine terminal in. So when there occurs excess of hydrogen ion, the amino acid group act as a base and accept hydrogen. So when in the cell excess of hydrogen ions are there, then the amine group which is there on the amino acid will accept the H plus ion, that is proton. While the free carboxyl group can release proton so as to accumulate, so as to neutralize an alkaline condition of the cell. So the proteins are able to serve both the functions of acid-base balance as well as buffer system of our body. Several amino acids are going to have the uh, both functional group, that is carboxylic acid terminal end and amine terminal end, to give the acid-base balance of our body. Everybody please mention your roll number.